Magician!
Hey YouTube, DarkMagician84 here, and I thought I'd do a pretty unique sort of top 10 list. Several weeks back I did do a video going over the worst things an opponent has done to me, but this time we're flipping the script. This time I'm going to talk about the worst things that I did to an opponent in a duel. Some things I feel bad about, some not so much, and some I think were perfectly justified, like, even if the opponent doesn't think so. But yeah, I'll just start the list now. I mean, it speaks for itself. Number 10, brain control on a junk warrior for game. Now this dates back to a battle royal from many years ago, and it was one I talked about before, that massive request battle royale where me and a bunch of the guys were using all of my decks. Now the last two standing were me and Timby. He was playing my Majestic Star Dragon deck and I was on my Yugi character deck. And he had a junk warrior on the field and pretty low life points left, and I think I drew into brain control, or already had it in hand, and what I did was use brain control on junk warrior and attack for game. Yeah, a very kind of a typical way to end games back then. Yeah, and loads of old players who've played since before those days will know how really, really annoying brain control for game is. Like, I'm pretty sure we've all been on the receiving end of it. And I do feel bad about winning that way, but it was the only way I could win. Like, there was I just literally had no choice. I saw an opportunity to win and I took it. Yeah, that's the way it goes sometimes. Number 9, using a super polymerization on a Rainbow Dragon. Now this dates back to a Skype match I had with Emma Blue Eyes 10 years ago. She was playing her Crystal Beast deck, which she referred to as Rainbow Era, and I was playing my Sly Hido character deck. Sly Hido being the protagonist of Card Heroes, and just like Jaden, he played Elemental Heroes. Now, there was a point in the duel where she had Rainbow Dragon out and I had Elemental Hero Neos on the field. Yeah, you can see where this is going. I used super polymerization to fuse my Neos with her Rainbow Dragon into Rainbow Neos, and yeah, she was not impressed. She even said she would, like, not be happy with someone who'd do that to her, and I never wanted to resort to doing that, but at the time it was the only way I could get over Rainbow Dragon. Like, literally I had no other way to deal with it. So yeah, the super poly shenanigans were my best bet, and yeah, that's the one and only time, like in the real game, that super poly was used to make Rainbow Neos. Yeah, it's a very specific situation, and yeah, that's what happened. So yeah, I did feel bad, but again, it was the only way I could deal with Rainbow Dragon. Number 8, Gaming Davies with winged Karibo. Now this was one of the most infamous funny game enders I ever did, and I wish I still had the original video. But yeah, this was something that I was plotting for a while. You see, the year before I did this, Blue took his Karibo with Go-Go Guardian, and Davies had an open field, and he went to attack him for game and dropped Forbidden Chalice in the damage step. So yeah, he got gamed by his own Karibo. I decided to try and do something similar with winged Karibo, but I wanted to do more than just poke for game with a winged Karibo. I wanted to game him with help from Honest, and in a battle royale we were in, round Derek's place, it got to a situation where he was on about 300 life points left, or it was 300 or a bit lower, and he had a scrap beast on the field, so I went, summon winged Karibo, and everyone anticipated what was going to happen, and I went, attack scrap beast, drop an Honest for game. Yeah, he didn't appreciate that at all. Yeah, it's, I mean, I would feel bad, but it was just too funny. But to be fair, it wasn't even his win Karibo. Like, this was my own. Yeah, it was just too funny. Number 7 is another one about Rainbow Neos. Using Rainbow Neos to weaken Cyberdark Dragon. Now, this was something that happened in a game which me and Weber's 5 had, like, back in 2019. We've both talked about this game in other videos, but yeah, this was what made him hate Rainbow Neos. So, so he has a Cyberdark Dragon equipped with Shooting Quasar Dragon, and it's got like somewhere over 5,000 attack points. Especially since there were monsters in the graveyard. Excuse me, powering him up. So I fusion summoned Rainbow Neos, and then I activated his third effect to mill my top card to spin everything in his graveyard back to his deck. And then I used MST to destroy the Shooting Quasar Dragon. Now, because this was Master Rule 4 and his Cyberdark Dragon was in the extra monster zone, he had no room to special summon Shooting Star Dragon off Quasar. Now, he said it was really rude and cheeky, but I wasn't even doing it to be rude or cheeky. I did it because it was the only way I could get over Cyberdark Dragon and win the duel. And in fact, this was what prompted him to try and get revenge on me by using Dragoonity Knight Trident in a later game to mill out all 3 copies of Rainbow Neos from my extra deck. Number 6, using card destruction to make 2 different opponents deck out. Now, this wasn't in a battle royal or anything, these were in 2 separate games, actually dating back to GOAT format, like long before I knew about YouTube and filming games, and back when I didn't think of decking someone out as a cheap way to win. Now, the first time I did it, I actually did it unintentionally, like with the first opponent. Now, I remember I didn't have a great hand, so I played card destruction, but by doing so, I inadvertently decked my opponent out. As after it resolved, he ran out of cards in his deck, yeah, I just won that way. And then the second time I did it to another friend of mine on the same day, actually, and this time it actually was intentional, but I only did it because, well, I can't remember why. There were two possible reasons why I did it, keeping in mind this was 18 years ago. I think it was because I either saw an opportunity to win the duel and took it, as I normally do, or I had no other way to win. I mean, I can excuse decking out and justify it if there's literally no other way to win, but other than that, it's cheap and dirty. But I didn't see it as cheap and dirty back then, so I saw he didn't have enough cards left in deck, so I played card destruction just to go for the win. Yeah, it was as simple as that. Although looking back, it was just dirty, and I just don't condone decking out. But at the time, like I said, first time wasn't intentional, second time it was an opportunity to win, and I just took it. Number 5, using ectoplasma on Dark Magician to burn my opponent's life points out. Now, this was actually something that happened very recently, actually. Well, maybe not that recently. We're talking 3 years ago, in the Yu-Gi-Oh's 20th anniversary Endurance. Now, at that point, I was struggling against Weber's 5's Zack Attack deck. Not even because of the Cyberdogs themselves, but more the Zodiacs and the ABCs, which were annoying me, because of course I fucking hate Zodiacs and ABCs. I mean, no disrespect, but that's the only variant of Cyberdogs that I absolutely fucking hate a lot. Dragon Buster is a cheap shot banish card which is too easy to summon, and Zodiacs are just absolutely toxic, especially when it comes to Trident, or Trident rather. I mean, they're not so bad now that Trident is gone, but back then they were just fucking annoying. And what I did was the only way I could win and just knock them out. See, at that point I was using Yugi's Legendary decks from the Legendary Decks 1 box, and I was using the Battle City deck, and Weber's wasn't on that many life points left, so I activated Dark Magic Curtain, which was a hefty cost, but I had to do it, brought out Dark Magician, then attacked and destroyed something, did some damage, and then I activated Ectoplasma, went to end phase, and tributed Dark Magician to burn out the rest of the opponent's life points, which is a way of winning I don't really like, to be honest, and I never ever want to resort to winning that way. It feels too much like Ring of Destruction for game, and even back then I just feel dirty for doing it. But hey, the cards were in the deck, and again, I had to win that way. I was really struggling, and it was the only way I could take Zack Attack out, like, once and for all. Because otherwise, like, if I didn't do that, he would have probably won on the next turn, and I would have continued to struggle. Like, yeah, it was cheap and dirty, but I was desperate. I had no choice. That's all there is to it. Number 4, destroying Melfi's with Regeki. Now, this is something I've done a few times whenever I've gone up against Emma's Melfi's, and I just feel so bad for doing it, because I like the Melfi's. Like, they're really lovable and cute, and I just never ever want to destroy them. Or banish them, of course. I'm trying to remember if I did banish a Melfi or attempt to with either BLS or Dark Magical Circle. I can't remember. But yeah, either way, I just feel bad for using things like Regeki or Lightning Vortex to get rid of them. I never want to do that. They're cute and adorable, and I always just feel so bad for doing it. But again, it's one of those situations where it was like, I had to, because I had no other way to get round them. So there's a little moth in here. Sometimes it does come back to bite me in the arse due to a major comeback that she makes, and other times I am able to push the game. But yeah, I mean, that's the way things go sometimes. Like, I never want to destroy the Melfi's, but more often than not, I have no choice. It's the only way to get round them and get to her life points. Of course, that being said, though, if Melfi Hide and Seek is on the field, then obviously Regeki won't even work. And then I have to try and find another way to do it, or destroy Melfi Hide and Seek with something like Twin Twisters. So yeah, with Hide and Seek on the field, it just becomes more difficult to get rid of them. Not that I ever want to get rid of Melfi's, but yeah, I have to if I want to try and go for the win. Number 3, banishing Blue Eyes White Dragon with Dark Magical Circle. I don't know how often I've done this, but one time I did do it was back in January, actually. I kind of classic clash of Blue Eyes and Dark Magician, and it's something that Express Gaming doesn't appreciate. And like, if it's any consolation, I always feel bad for banishing a Blue Eyes White Dragon or any iconic boss monster, really. Like, I never want to resort to it, but again, it was the only way I could get round it. Like, I literally had no other way to get rid of it. I mean, if anything, like, if I want to banish anything in the deck, I'd rather banish Blue Eyes Jet Dragon, because, well, not that I hate Jet Dragon, especially since I play it myself, but Jet Dragon is a problem. Like, it's literally the biggest threat in the main deck. So I'd rather get that out of the picture. I'd rather not do it to good old Blue Eyes White Dragon, unless of course I have to. Yeah, it is what it is. Number 2, using Raw Decree on Billsy when I went up against his Infernities twice. Yeah, I did this to him twice. Now, the first time was back in the September 2010 format during a tournament game. And I was on Rainbow Neos, he was playing Infernities, and for Game 2 I sided in Raw Decree because the plan was to shut down Infernity Barrier. I wanted to stop that from being activated so that it wouldn't negate my deck. Of course, this would be easier said than done, because obviously Barrier is a counter trap, and there was a very good chance that my Raw Decree could still be negated by it. But it was a chance I was willing to take, and thankfully it got to a point where I was able to do it on his end phase early on in the game, and yeah, he didn't have an attack position Infernity on the field, so with that I was able to just go through my plays without any interruption from Barrier and just go on to win the match. And then the second time this happened was like about half a year later, during the second KCPT, where we were both in the final. So he was using the same deck, only this time I was playing Legendary Hero. And here's where I feel more bad, because he had a run of really bad luck in this match. He just seemed to brick in Game 1 and have no plays, and I was able to win. Game 2, I once again sided in Raw Decree to specifically stop Barrier, and it worked, because again he just seemed to brick and have no plays. So yeah, I was able to win that match easier than I thought. But I did, of course, feel really bad that he bricked and couldn't really fight back. So yeah, I did feel bad, but at the same time I was just pleased that Legendary Hero had won something. Yeah, I was happy about that. But regarding using Decree to stop his back row, I don't know if he ever forgave me for that. And number 1 is a very similar story. The time when I used it on Neo Nexodus's TG Photon deck. Yeah, a lot of you guys should know what I'm talking about. It's that infamous game that happened back in February 2012, and he went skill drain, and I chained Decree, and he was like, "Excuse me?" And I went, "You heard?" And he said, "Fuck you!" So yeah, everyone around us just found this absolutely hilarious. And as I stated at the time, I only did that to specifically stop skill drain, because skill drain was causing me a lot of problems. Like, it caused me problems in Game 1 of that match, and if I remember correctly, it did cause a few problems in the tag duel we had earlier that day, when me and Ojama the Bomb faced off against Neo Nexodus and Scapegoat User, like, all with the same decks, of course. Yeah, he had him with TG Photon, Scapegoat User with Black Wings, me with Legendary Hero, and Ojama the Bomb with Ubel. But yeah, like I said, I only sided the Decree to stop the skill drain, and it worked. Yeah, skill drain was a problem. And yeah, even to this day, I don't think he ever forgave me for that. In fact, I would say that definitely makes it the worst thing I ever did to someone in a duel. And yeah, that concludes this list. Thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed, and do let me know in the comments if you've ever done something this bad to an opponent, or has similar evil plays been done to you. Do let me know. Anyway, thank you for watching, stay safe you guys, and I'll catch you later. Bye. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to the Dark Magician YouTube channel.